Good day, and thank you for tuning in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. For all of our new listeners and viewers who are tuning in for the very first time, I'm Pastor Pope, and thank you for allowing us to come into your viewing environment. We are here with you, broadcasting live from the FijiWater.com sponsored studio every Monday through Friday from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time to discuss whatever topics you might like to discuss, and whatever issues of life you find challenging or that you find difficult to navigate. We are here because God is concerned about that which concerns you. And so we are live right here in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast, which is brought to you daily by Fiji Water, Earth's finest water. You may already know that Fiji water comes from Fiji. However, did you know that it is created by nature? It is untouched by man. It starts as a tropical rainfall which slowly filters through layers of volcanic rock, where the water collects in a natural, sustainable artesian aquifer, where it is bottled right at the source, free from human contact until you unscrew the blue cap. Fiji Water, Earth's finest water, will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you'll save money at FijiWater.com. This is not just ordinary water. This is Fiji Water at FijiWater.com. And for those of you who continue giving on the Give segment of our app at New Life-Delaware, and those of you that have made a weekly or monthly commitment to support the broadcast by giving on the contribution pages of our websites at NewLifeMinistriesInternational.com and NewLifeInternationalCDC.com, we thank you for your support and for your commitment as we fulfill our commitment to God to be here for you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. So I want to say to all of our listeners and viewers, we actually have installed new equipment because, as you know, we're about to go live on our internet radio station where you will hear music 24 hours a day. You will hear segments that are being broadcast, and we have new equipment that has been installed, and today it looks like we are having some technical difficulty. That I thought we didn't have any sound, but apparently we do have sound. So thank you for being patient. We were having a little technical difficulty here on our end, so I wasn't sure if you had sound, and the reason is because we have new equipment, and it has been installed, and we are thankful to God for preparing us for the launch of our new internet radio station. So everything is being installed, and there may be moments when we have a little technical difficulty, but stay with us, bear with us, and you will see the blessings of God as we continue to be here for you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. So we are Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and we're RadioFreeNetwork.com live. You can go to RadioFreeNetwork.com, click on radio, the drop box will appear, click on New Life, and every broadcast will be available to you. I see that, I can see from the screen that it's zoomed in a little close, so hopefully all of this will play out very well, and we'll be able to continue doing what God has called us to do. But thank you all for your continued patience and your support. I'm going to address a communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you want to know, where do you meet men who are successful and have their lives in order? And you want to know where you can find men who are looking to settle down with one woman. So you don't want to be part of the herd. And I get it. So let me begin by saying this. First and foremost, you want to change the environments in which you spend most of your time. So you want to change the environment by going to different places than you normally and traditionally would go. And I see this a lot from a lot of people who continue going to the same type of places, but then they want to experience something different. Well, you're not going to experience something different going to the same places that you always have gone. You want a man who's going to build a great quality of life. And you want them to want one woman, and that's certainly par for the course, or it should be. And you want to know where to meet them. So I'm going to give you some examples, but I want to say this to you. The first thing you're going to have to stop doing is the things you've always done. So, like everyone else, you go out to different places, restaurants and bars, club scene, still hang out with your friends for brunch because you know other people are hanging out for brunch. It's the same things you've always done. And you're going to meet the same people. And here's even a newsflash. This is something that you can really now examine yourself about. You're going to these places and you're seeing some of the same people that you always see. Not going with them, but the same guys who you see at the restaurant and bars, that you see at the clubs, that you see hanging out at social events, rooftop parties, all of those things. You see the same people because it's the same circuit. You want to make certain that you put yourself in a position to meet new people who are going to look for a better quality of life. So, having said that, let me give you some examples. And I've said this before to people, and I'm going to say this again to listeners and viewers on our broadcast. I'm going to give you two components that I have addressed before, but one of them is because this is not an unusual situation, but we thank you for joining the broadcast. Someone referred you to the broadcast, so you've been with us for a couple of months now, and a few months now, and you may not have heard this. You can go back and view the archives, but here's the reality. You've got to start going to, if you want to meet men of high quality, you want to go to places of high quality. So I'll use a prime example. There are restaurants at hotels that have a restaurant and bar, but it's a whole different environment. If you go to a place like the Four Seasons, the Fairmont, the Ritz, it's a different environment. It's not the same environment as, going to some of the popular eateries. Will you meet someone sitting at who's high quality sitting at the bar at Steak 48? Perhaps, because they're there and it's not an inexpensive place to eat. The point to that is, but it's still not the type of quality of men that you're looking for. Because the reason that they're sitting at the bar at Steak 48 is because they didn't have anyone that they wanted to take out on that particular night and sit in one of the private dining booths, or, you've got to think about how you're positioning yourself. So you go to the restaurant at the Four Seasons Hotel, you're going to meet a different type of people. If you go to the restaurant and sit at the bar and maybe eat finger food and have a glass of San Pellegrino, you're going to meet a different type of man. If you go to the Fairmont, same thing. You're going to, it's not the Four Seasons, but it's not the Holiday Inn. So you go to the Ritz, it's the same thing. You're going to meet people who are productive in life, who are successful in life, and who are building, developing, enhancing their great quality of life. So you've got to recognize how important that is. You got to position yourself for that. And then here's another thing. Get involved with, first of all, going to art galleries, museums. Those are always places you're going to meet a different type of people. But get involved with, charitable events. You're going to meet a different type of person. It's pretty amazing. So I'll give you a real simple example. we're runners. When I say we, meaning my running partner and myself, my wife, but she doesn't do a lot of the runs that we do. We're going to either run a half marathon, a marathon. We'll do some 5Ks for training, 10Ks, that's fine. But we're going to run longer runs. My wife, for example, is going to max out at a half marathon. That's where she's just done. She's made that very clear. But having said that, I run a lot of races. Maybe not as much as some people, but I run a lot of races. And my running partner and I, we generally run some races together. But we train together whenever the opportunity presents itself. I'm saying all of that to say, when we go out to run a marathon or a half marathon, we don't ever see the people that you're going to see hanging out at the clubs. We don't ever see the people that you see when you're hanging out at the popular restaurant and bars. And the reason is because running requires a commitment and discipline to train and prepare for the race. So you're not hanging out, partying on Friday night when you know you've got to be at the run at 6 o'clock in the morning for a 7 a.m. start. It's just not feasible. And the reason I'm saying that is when I look around at the people who are at the race, they are always people who are focused on running. They're focused on health and wellness. We don't all look like the ideal runner. All runners have different bodies. I've seen women run 8 and 9 months pregnant. True story. But they didn't just start running when they got pregnant. They had been running previously, so they continued to run. And maybe instead of running a marathon, they run a half marathon. But the reality is, those are the type of people that you're going to see even in a race. And that's not even talking about going to affluent places where the people you encounter are going to be different than the people that you see on the circuit. And the problem is you begin to think because you see them on the circuit all the time that they're your friends. They're really not. They're just people that you encounter when you hang out. So you've got to make a conscious decision that you're going to begin going to different places. You're going to begin getting involved in philanthropy. You're going to be getting involved in charitable events. You're going to attend some museums. You're going to attend some art galleries. You will meet a different class of people. And I don't mean that to be cruel when I say that. I'm just telling the truth. And the class is this. It's not about anything other than people who are doing something different with their lives. And that's, you have different classes even at the university. You have some who are majoring in communications. You have some who are majoring in education. You have some who are majoring in some type of science. You have some who are majoring in engineering. There are different classes even at the university. And those are the classes that you're going to encounter when you decide to attend that particular class. And in this case, the class you're attending is a class of hospitality. Your concentration is on hospitality. And it's not on physical fitness. When I say that, meaning running the circuit. Club here, there's a different hot club every 6 months. There's different rooftop parties that are popular. There's all kinds of things that people get involved in that doesn't lend to developing a better quality of life. And if you're looking for someone who's ready to settle down, you're looking for someone who's mature. And if you're looking for someone who's interested in settling down with one woman, you're looking for someone who's ready to be married. Now, the question about that is, as you meet them, you have to decide, is this the person that God has appointed for your life? And the way that you decide that is you're going to have to find out what his relationship is with the Lord, because that comes before anything else. You have to be open to meeting new people. So you put yourself in positions to meet new people, but you've got to know that that's the person that God has appointed for your life. So what's his relationship with the Lord? Does he go to church? If he doesn't go to church, is he willing to go with you to church? And if you both didn't have a church home, are you willing to find one together? Are you willing to begin reading and praying together? Are you willing to work on developing a relationship with God that is going to lead you to the fullness of God? That's how this all starts out. The problem is we haven't been starting relationships that way. We have not been starting relationships that way. Listen, only what you do for the Lord will last. And so you can start out going to church, and if you're not committed to that, sooner or later one of you is going to drop off. He'll drop off, and then you'll know he's not the one for you, because the person for you is a person who is going to be in the house of God every Sunday, who is going to be praying every day, praying without ceasing. He's going to be in his Bible every day, searching for God's way, for God's will, through God's word. You want a high quality man to build a great quality of life. And you must know that God has prepared someone for you. Now all you have to do is prepare yourself and position yourself for what God has in store. This segment of the broadcast has been brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. So if you are not currently a T-Mobile customer, you may call or text on the T-Mobile call or text line at 267-992-1424. We will move you into our queue so that you may experience America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. Taxes and fees are included in your bill, and if you auto pay by attaching a credit card to your account, you will receive a discount on your monthly bill at T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that your adult children have no self-discipline. However, your brother says it is because you did not discipline them when they were younger. You now realize that he's right. You spent a lot of time doing what modern day parents do. And that is allowing your children to be creative. You've allowed them to decide what they want to do and make their own decisions, make their own choices. And now here they are, they're 20s and early 30s, and none of them have any self-discipline. They cannot discipline themselves. The problem with that is, or I should say they won't discipline themselves. The problem with that is when young people will not, well, not just young people, when people have no self-control, no self-discipline, and they are not willing to discipline themselves, life will discipline you. Society will discipline you. So you have to decide for yourself that, and not you, but your children have to decide for themselves that they want to structure their lives with some discipline. There are no limits in Christ Jesus. There are no limits in God. But there are limits in society. There are certain things that you can do that are acceptable, and there are things that you cannot do because they're not acceptable. And if they're not acceptable in society, it is eventually going to cause you some issues. Now, I'm not suggesting that they should live in the world because that's what society teaches them to do. I'm just suggesting that they obey the laws of the land and that they get up every day and focus on their careers and focus on their success. And they're not focusing on their success right now. They're focusing on what society tells them it's okay to do. Now your brother has basically called them out on it. You didn't like it at first. You know, God allowed me to see in that secret place of your discussion. You didn't like it at first when your brother called them out. You felt like your brother was coming after them. But what he was basically saying to them is, to your son and your daughters, you can't just live the way you're living and expect to be successful. Now, the good news is that even though their father is not present or active in their lives, their uncle is present and active. And he does shoot straight. So he's told them, you can't live the way you're living and expect to maximize your success. You now realize that he's correct. And it's true. In today's society, people are doing whatever they want to do and doing it because society says it's okay to do it. The challenge with that is that it's a distraction. It's a distraction that diminishes the success of your children. It's a distraction that will eventually disrupt the quality of their life, whether it's health, whether it's finances, whether it's career. All of those things have to be taken into consideration. Body, mind, and spirit. So all of those things are encompassed in body, mind, and spirit. You know, if your health's not good, without health, lack of wealth. And what I mean by that is, we all want to build wealth. And part of that wealth is making certain we stay healthy. Now, there's exceptions to every rule. But the reality is that without health, doesn't matter how much wealth you have, eventually you're going to leave here. So the goal is to be healthy and wealthy. The goal is to be at peace in your mind because everything is in perfect balance. And then your spirit. And if your career is not functioning the way you desire it to function, your spirit's going to be vexed. You're going to be troubled in your spirit because we are designed to work. We are designed to work. The Bible says if you don't work, you don't eat. We're designed to work. For our bodies and our minds to be active and engaged. You know, the Bible says from the sweat of your brow. Now, you might not have to, your children might not be out digging ditches, and that's a good thing. But the reality is that they're not maximizing their success. And part of the problem in today's society is that us baby boomers and the generation right behind us that's right in the middle, and I'm not sure what that generation is called off the top of my head, it just went blank, but that's right between the baby boomers and the millennials. All of us who have children are pushing them to build a great quality of life. They've got to desire it for themselves. And if they don't desire it for themselves, they're not going to make good decisions. They're going to continue doing what society teaches them to do. Because that's their only point of reference. They don't look at your success. They don't look at how you're living. They look at what the world is teaching them. And they accept it as fact. Watch this. FOMO. That you should fear missing out. YOLO, you only live once. Well, yeah, if you're not saved, you're only going to live once. Right here. But we get to live eternally. So We want to be our best versions while we're here so that we can become the best versions when we leave here. It's ever evolving. There's no end to this success here in Earth. We have to keep working. We have to, and you're concerned about them. Your brother is right. They don't have the discipline because you gave them that freedom. Now you want to know, what can you do about that? You know, they're all in their mid to late 20s and early 30s. So you've got to say, when I say mid to late 20s, you know, you've got a couple that are in their late 20 range, and you've got a couple of two that are in their early 30s. So that's a lot. That's a lot to deal with, because they're all over the place, and you're watching them all over the place. When I say you're watching them, you're actively listening and watching them roll with man after man, woman after woman. And that's a struggle for you, because you didn't expect for them to live this way. But without self-discipline, this is how they'll live. And life happens to us all. So life will happen, and then they will find it necessary to make some adjustments in their discipline. It's not going to always feel good. I get it. It is going to pain you from time to time. This is the outcome of giving them too much freedom and giving them the opportunity to make their own choices when they weren't mature enough to make their own choices. You were doing what many parents do today in today's society. But the reality is that God gave us very, very specific instructions. Train up a child in the way they should go, and when they grow old, they won't depart from it. So when life happens, they'll get back to the basics of the way you're living. And that is, you're trying to live every day to be the best version of you that you can possibly become. This segment of the broadcast has been brought to you by Charles Tyrwhitt, located in London, the UK. They also have stores in New York, Chicago, Washington, D.C., and at the King of Prussia Mall in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. So if you're in any of those areas, stop in at their retail stores. They have everything a man could possibly need: shirts for men, ties for men, suits for men, and accessories. I'm in Charles Tyrwhitt Attire today. If you're not in any of those areas, you can order from Charles Tyrwhitt at ctshirts.com. They will ship and deliver right to your front door in an appropriate period of time. And The White Company, located in London, the UK. They also have a store on Fifth Avenue in New York. So if you're in New York, stop in at the retail store. They have everything you could possibly need: home goods, clothing for men, women, and children. And if you're not in New York, you can order from The White Company at thewhitecompany.com. They too will ship and deliver right to your front door in an appropriate period of time. So I want to say, before we go off the air today, I want to remind everyone that with us tomorrow in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast, Rebecca Buva, licensed and registered dietitian and nutritionist, will be here with us to provide us with tips that will enhance our health and wellness. We are already through 1 month of the new year. We want to make certain that we really focus on our health and wellness this year, and that we get to the place where we are whole in body, mind, and spirit. Today's Daily Divine Direction broadcast, 3D, has been brought to you by Fiji Water. A taste of paradise will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery. And you'll save money at FijiWater.com. May God bless you today. May God keep his face turned towards you. May God give you peace that surpasses all understanding. Have a great day today. I look forward to being in your viewing environment tomorrow. And remember, we are Facebook Live. We are YouTube Live, and we are RadioFreeNetwork.com Live. You go to RadioFreeNetwork.com, click on radio. The Dropbox will appear. Click on the New Life link, and every broadcast will be available to you. Remember, you don't want to miss this tomorrow, 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time with